Hey, this is Sari, and you're listening to the GeekCast radio network of podcasts.
Cliffjumper, commence countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Transformers, more than meets the eye. The Transformers, more than meets the eye.
Tune in next week for a much better episode. For now, though, courage.
Welcome to the 43rd episode of ToyCast, sponsored by BigBadToyStore.com, where you can save from 20 to 90% on over 1,000 items. I am your host, TFG and Mike, and joining me for the first time is XV from Radio Free Cybertron and TFRadio.net. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Oh, yes. ToyCast is fast approaching the 50th episode, and I'm trying to decide what kind of weird special thing I want to do for the 50th episode.
You know, it's kind of hard to figure out special events to do for these milestones like this.
Yeah, I mean, we're not there yet. We're still 7, 8 episodes out, but I don't know. I may not do anything. I may just say screw it and just record something anyway eventually. I don't know.
Oh, you could always wait for 100.
If this, when I first started this show, my intention wasn't really to see how many episodes I get to. It was more of, oh, okay, well, I have this toy. I want to talk about this toy with other people that, are like-minded about, originally it started as Transformers ToyCast, and I just ended up broadening it to all toy lines. God, if this show gets to 100 episodes, I'll be extremely surprised. I really will. Alright, since you are the guest, what will you be talking about first?
Well, one thing that comes to mind for me is the Universe Silverbolt mold, but not Silverbolt himself.
Mm-hmm.
The odd thing about that for me was that as Silverbolt, the toy just looked completely unappealing. I mean, it wasn't just like the colors or anything, it was just the whole design of the toy. It always seemed overly simple in transformation, and, in jet mode there was a whole robot hanging off the bottom of it, and the reverse in robot mode. But then these exclusive recolors of it started coming out, and somehow Hasbro managed to hit on 2 different characters that I just had to have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the story of how I have Skyfall from Walmart's exclusive Universe Ultras and Darkwind from Toys R Us.
I don't know. I never really got into the whole Universe Jets.
Well, the thing with the Silverbolt mold is that while the transformation is really simple, they kind of balance it out by making the robot mode, I want to say almost unusually articulated. A lot of the joints are more free than otherwise they would be, because there's not a lot of vehicle parts interfering with them, because, of course, the vehicle and robot modes pretty much don't integrate together in any way. It's kind of a mixed effect there,
Yeah, now that you're explaining it, and I'm getting an image of this thing in my head, I'm thinking, wait, it's a Transformer. The vehicle and the robot mode are supposed to combine in some form, whether you have, vehicle kibble or robot kibble, but, they're supposed to go together. You just can't make a Transformer that is either one or the other. Then again, there is that $100 piece of crap Devastator that doesn't do anything whatsoever.
It eats things, though. I understand it does that really well.
Yeah, we just, my buddy Michael Wilson and Steven Phillips that runs the network with me, we just recorded Beast Unleashed episode 4 last night. This will probably go up Saturday, most likely. I don't know yet. But anyway, we just recorded that last night, and Michael said he got the Legends Devastator. I meant to ask him if it came with tiny balls.
Well, I saw a little while back there was a pre-order on Big Bad Toy Store for a Fan Company kit that was a set of wrecking balls for the Legends Devastator mold.
Oh, that's just so wrong.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I thought too.
These are children. I mean, I know we're adult collectors, but these are supposed to be children's toys for the most part. Jesus. Oh, God, that's
yeah, but, it's not the Fan Company's idea. They put that in the movie.
No, I know.
Which is also presumably for kids of some age.
I would never show my kids that movie.
Well, no, if I had kids, I'd want to expose them to, something that was actually good.
Yeah. So what else do you like about the Skyfall and the Dark Wind?
I mostly really just like them for the characters they represent. Skyfall is based on a G2 Cyberjet, which has pretty much the whole time I've been a Transformers fan, I got into it during G2, that, the Cyberjets were one of my favorite toy lines in there. So it was great for me to be able to get Skyfall, who is so... it makes a pretty good representation of the original Skyjack toy.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Skyjack was a stealth bomber originally, and the Silverbolt mold turns into some kind of a faked-up, Valkyrie thing. But in robot mode, with the way the wing backpack sits on there, it really does look similar.
Yeah. I've seen, I know you're talking about those specific characters, but I've seen the Silverbolt in stores, and I like the original G1's aerial bots, but I just couldn't pull the trigger on this one.
Well, yeah, for Silverbolt, I couldn't either. The only way these really sold to me was because of the characters they represented.
Right, yeah.
Mine is, if it's a character that I have some kind of attachment to, or buy it if it's based on a crappy toy.
Yeah, that's like with me. I mentioned, referencing a cast, we had mentioned the Power Core Combiners. That's it. But Power Core Combiners, I don't like. It's just one of those things that's there, but there's no character to make me buy.
On RFC, we did our live Toy Fair coverage with Teefs this past Saturday, and one of the things, the automatic transformation of the limb toys worked. And, once I heard that, those Power Core Combiners just sounded so much cooler to me. Robot modes for the limb toys, when it's traded off for automatic instant attach and disconnect the toy.
Right.
Is healing, and it really shot up the cool points of
Power Core Combiners aren't cool. I'm just saying, like you were saying, like you said a second ago, if it's not a character that you don't, have a connection to, or, something like that, you're probably not going to add. And that's, I've seen from Toy Fair video, that there's just no way I'll buy them.
Yeah, for me, it's that the character can make an unappealing toy, it makes it more palatable to me, but, if a toy looks cool, it doesn't really matter about the character to me because I want cool toys.
Yeah. I think, Hasbro did a good job with, coming up with a new gimmick. They've had the Automorph or the Mecha Live or whatever
Right.
they want to call it, throughout the movie line and, throughout some of the animated toys, but, that is a kind of a cool gimmick compared to Cyber Keys.
Yeah. No, it's really clear that Hasbro is trying every year to push the envelope a little farther with what the toys can do. Mm-hmm. Back when they were doing the Second Universe line in 2008, one of the notes that we got about their design philosophy was that their focus groups, the kids they tested the toys with, really liked the concept of the heads coming out audibly as one of the final steps in transformation. The kids saw that as when the Transformer really became alive. Mm-hmm. So they incorporated that feature into a lot of those universe toys, And, that really struck with me as a good move. It's something I enjoy, too. Of course, there's a little bit of kid in all of us to be collecting these. And, it's cute. Like on the Sunstreaker and Sideswipe mold, for instance, where it's a geared function, sort of Mech-Alive or Automorph things, where you turn the windshield around and the head pops up. That kind of thing is really cool to me. I like the geared and spring-driven action gimmicks. I think, besides the Minicons, of course, that was one of the major things that endeared me to Armada right from the beginning.
The Minicons are evil. Anyway,
Wow.
They are. They're evil.
You're like a terrible human being.
Yeah, Minicons are evil. Outside, the only good thing about Armada for me was the video game. Outside of
that was great. I love that video game.
Outside of that, I didn't care for Armada at all.
Well, okay. I mean, I understand the appeal in having a Transformer that's, really posable, has a certain kind of detailing, but I also want things to be different every once in a while. From the start of Beast Wars through the end of Robots in Disguise, we pretty much had Transformers whose main focus was on the articulation, and action features were secondary if they were even present at all. And again, that is perfectly fine. I'm cool with that up to a point. But when we got to Armada, the Minicons themselves were one thing, and that they could plug onto the toys and activate these pretty complex, in some cases, action gimmicks. It changed the way the toys... It changed the toys, basically. They use the term play pattern, and that's exactly what it is. The toys feel like you can play with them more, as opposed to just, posing them on the shelf or a table. You could set up, like, battle scenes or whatever, but there's not a lot you can do to interact with the toys, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
You plug the helicopter onto Hotshot, and the big bazooka flips up over his head. That's a real interactive feature, and really one of the early favorites in Armada, for me anyway. I can see why they moved away from it, especially having to engineer the Minicons on the same budget as the toys they came with. It made everything a little bit more simple. I think, too, that's why when... for Cybertron, they revisited the action feature thing like that. They went with the keys instead of Minicon because they could devote more resources into the main toy.
Right.
But yeah. I get what you're saying about not liking some of Armada's stuff. I don't like everything about it, but I really am happy with the concept by itself, if not every execution of it.
Right. Alright, I have been on a huge Mighty Mug kick for a very long time, for like the past, God, I don't even know how many episodes I've done that I've talked about Mighty Mugs, and...
Well, yeah, and I've seen on Twitter, too, you talk quite a bit about the Mighty Mugs.
Yeah.
Well, now see, this is kind of the reverse of the Armada thing, because I cannot understand the appeal of these Mighty Mugs at all.
Okay, well, and I know you don't listen to the show, or you haven't listened to the show, but the way I look at them is they are for us collectors, and they are for characterization points of view. Like, for some strange reason, I didn't think I was going to get this guy until next week, but I just got the black-suited Spider-Man one from the Marvel line. The mailman dropped it off in front of my door earlier this afternoon. And it's basically just black-suited Spidey with little white and black web shooter things on his hands. It's very, very simple. Normally the Mighty Mug's arms and heads turn. I have no idea why his head does not turn. It's extremely tight. I have no idea. But they're display pieces for me. I mean, you can put them in kind of cool poses. You can kind of, group these ones in with that group, or group those ones in with that group. It's more of a display piece than it is an actual, toy that you play with. But that's just the way I feel about it. But Like I said, black-suited Spider-Man, very, very cool. He has the giant white eyes that are painted on. Looks very, very menacing. He has the spider slash Venom type of logo.
Yeah.
That goes under his armpit and around to the back, and the same thing in the front. And like I said, he's got little white squares with a black dot in the middle on each of his hands to showcase, I guess, his web shooters. Very, very cool. You know, and the other thing is with the Mighty Mugs is they do have cool boxes. No, seriously, they have pretty awesome boxes because the boxes can become a display piece. Because on the very top of the box is like the face of whatever character it is. And I think the whole bottom shelf of my toy shelf back here in my living room, I took Castle Grayskull off of it, and I lined up all the Mighty Mug boxes, and it's just a whole bunch of faces. There's like 27 faces back there. So it's just, I don't know, they're just really cool. Yes, I am a geek.
I'm just thinking that in most cases the packaging just is not a consideration in whether I'm going to buy a toy or not.
Normally I would agree with you. Normally especially, when I got animated Blitzwing, I had to kill that packaging to get the toy out of it. I actually almost broke my entire index finger nail off trying to get Blitzwing out of the packaging. Normally I could care less about packaging.
What were you trying to do? Dig through the side with your hands?
No, those freaking twist tie wire things. I don't have I have scissors, but I don't have like little wire cutters. So
do you have like nail clippers or something?
Yeah, somewhere. But anyway,
try nail clippers on those. They work really well.
Okay. But what I didn't realize was
nails too.
Yeah, I almost said Leader. I bought Voyager figures before from the animated line. None of them ever had the wire going through the actual toy. I had to transform Blitzwing into robot mode to get him out of the package. But
I know they get a little overzealous with keeping the toy in place sometimes.
Yeah, especially with him. But normally I would agree with you. I could care less about packaging, but these boxes that like I said, just so damn cool, and they're really easy to open. I mean, all you do is you open the top of the box, you pull out the little stand that it comes in with the little plastic thing that it's held in. All you got to do is pull off a piece of plastic and make sure his arms aren't fastened in with the little other piece of plastic, and you got him out of the package, and the box stays fairly, in good shape.
Right.
So, I don't know. Like I said, I'm a geek. I like the boxes. They're cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can understand in a case like that, where the box is designed to work as a part of the toy.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, offhand, I can't remember the last thing I got that was actually made that way. But I totally get what you're talking about with that.
Yeah, I would say maybe... I'm trying to think if I saved my animated Leader Magnus box. I don't think so. But I would say something like that you could probably, if you got it out, fairly easily, you could keep those kind of boxes as well. But those really aren't for... these are made to be displayed.
Right.
These boxes are specifically... Unless you live in Canada and you get nothing but Optimus Prime on every box.
Yeah, the way the Canadian stuff works has always struck me as a little weird.
Well, they are...
I seem to recall that back when Universe was coming out, most or all of their deluxe packaging had Sunstreaker cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so...
See, what you need to do is get somebody from Canada on the show to talk about how crazy the toys are there.
Oh, we have Proto Man come on all the time.
Does he talk about how crazy the toy collecting thing is in Canada?
I don't think so, but I can have him talk about it next time he's on. I just remembered him telling me about the Canadian versions of the Mighty Mug boxes, because when I first started talking about them, I had just gotten the Transformers ones, And he said, yeah, we don't have the U.S. packaging. All of our Transformers Mighty Mugs, they all have Optimus Prime on the box. I'm like, oh, that sucks.
I think in general it sucks to be a toy collector in Canada.
Mm.
I mean, just from everything I've ever heard, it's more expensive. Half the stuff does not even make it up there sometimes.
Well, yeah, it's because of customs.
And, you can forget about store exclusives almost entirely.
Yeah.
Unless Zellers picks them up, and then again, it's a lot more expensive.
Yep. Glad I live in the U.S. I could never live anywhere other than the U.S. Just no way. It's like, it's a nice place to visit, but I am not living there.
Yeah, I mean, when you grow up in this sort of environment, and then you're thrown into something like, the Canadian marketplace, where everything is completely different, it's a big contrast. I'm not sure if you think about it quite as much if, the Canadian way is what you've been used to your whole life.
Right.
I mean, of course, in the age of the internet, you know about how it is other places, but I don't know exactly how much impact it has without experiencing it yourself.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, I don't know, moving from Little Rock, Arkansas to Los Angeles. It's a huge culture shock, or vice versa. It's the same thing with the economic market, but yeah, I'm glad I'm a toy collector in the U.S. and not Canada, because I feel sorry for Canadians sometimes. They get such a raw deal on toys.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's not all good for U.S. toy collectors, because depending on the kind of stuff you collect, it might not even be available here in the first place.
True.
For the longest time, I collected the Gundam action figures, the mobile suits in action.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while, those were released in the U.S. market, but after the Gundam merchandise thing pretty much died here, the only way they were available was to import them from Japan. And, I mean, that had its benefits. The Japanese toys generally had a little more paint, and, of course, after a while, there were figures that were exclusive to Japan because nothing new was coming out in America.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's expensive to get those. They cost about twice as much, and, of course, you pay almost as much in shipping as the thing cost originally. And then you gotta wait 3 weeks for it.
Yep.
Just recently I started picking up a couple of these Gundam figures again, and the Mobile Suit in Action line had ceased in Japan a year or two ago. At least 2 years ago. And it was replaced with a new series they called Robot Damashi, which means robot spirit or robot soul. It's usually robot spirits in the English version of the packaging. But as far as I can tell, engineering-wise, they're not really any different from the preceding Mobile Suits in Action, but they cost about twice as much. I mean, they're the same size, same kind of articulation on them and everything, same plastic and paint work. Actually, in some cases, less paint work. But the best we can figure out is that Bandai had realized that the Mobile Suits in Action were mostly attracting adult collectors, and much the same way Mattel has with the Masters of the Universe now, they're just kind of milking the adult collectors out of these things and, getting as much money as they can. That's probably why they're charging a lot more for these than the previous figure line.
Yeah, we're not gonna. I don't want to invoke any rage, but we're not even gonna be talking about Matty Collector, because that was just horrible. I laughed my ass off when I listened to Ender about that.
I know you purposely do the show just with whatever language comes out of it, but for the way that Rant came out after it was edited and posted, you have to admit the bleeping adds a certain comedic effect to it.
Oh, it does. No, it completely does. I respect anybody, it's like I said off air, I personally, I don't make podcasts for kids, but I get that Radio Free Cybertron has been around for a while, plus you guys are now attached to T-Formers, so I get that you have to do a PG podcast, which is
Yeah, we want to do
is
a
good.
family show because, we want the biggest audience we can get out of it.
Right, exactly. And I will admit that's funny as hell. I sent Brian a message on Twitter after I listened to it. I said, "Dude, we need to have Ender on ToyCast to get that rant bleep free because it would be so much funnier too." Oh God!
I sat there and listened to it the first time through, and we were trying to silence our laughter as he was going through it. But yeah, I don't have a problem with strong language. I don't use it a lot myself. I've heard everything, of course.
Yeah.
But to me though, it comes out more entertaining with the bleeps in.
Yeah, it does.
It's an old standby in the entertainment industry to always leave at least a little bit hidden to spur people's imaginations.
Right, yeah. But, Mattel and the Masters of the Universe Classics line, really, honestly, there's nothing right now as far as Transformers toys that I'm interested in, except maybe some of the ones that I don't have yet. Like, I have two different, I have a Nemesis Prime and a Shattered Glass Prime, but I don't have the original Classics mold of Optimus. Other than that, there's nothing really new that's coming out other than, obviously, the unreleased animated toys yet.
Right.
What
do you think about Straxus?
I don't think I've seen a picture of that.
Oh, you didn't?
I might have. I don't know. It's been a while since I looked at the Toy Fair stuff.
Well, you know who Straxus is, right?
I think so. Proto Man said something about him in the last episode.
Yeah, Straxus was a character from the Marvel Comics, and he was one of the. He was I would call him a middle Decepticon leader. He ruled over the territory of Darkmount, which is where the toy's name comes from now, because Hasbro could not use Straxus. In the U.S. comic, he only appeared in, I think, 2 issues and then died. But the UK Marvel comics, which always expanded a lot on what the U.S. comics would start, had Straxus around in kind of some bizarre roles for quite a while. I would say Straxus is a lot more notable to like UK trans fans than American ones. But as far as the important parts of Straxus' appearance, the toy totally nails it.
Yeah.
It's another one of those things, kind of like Sea Spray, where, neither one of those is being marketed as a movie toy, of course, but, they're really hitting the certain style for these toys. They're both more or less classic styled.
Yeah.
The most notable, 2 most notable things about Straxus are his face, which has no mouth or lower jaw, and the axe he carries around, and this toy completely nails both of those. So Straxus is another one of those things that Hasbro has tossed out there just really for the fans, and I could not be happier with the way it's looking.
Yeah. I saw Pia's review of Sea Spray today, and I had seen the pictures of Sea Spray, and while I think he's an okay G1 character, I don't really like the toy. The alt mode is cool, but the robot mode just no.
I'll admit I'd probably like Sea Spray's robot mode a little bit better if the triangle of his torso was reversed.
Yeah.
And he looked more like he had more of a belly going on.
Yeah.
Cause, we all remember the original Minibot Sea Spray, and he did not look like a bodybuilder.
No, he didn't.
Nor was he portrayed as such in the cartoon, so...
the other thing is, Sea Spray was some sort of boat originally. This thing is more... The new version is more of a hovercraft.
Sea Spray was always a hovercraft, actually.
Oh, yeah, I always thought he was like a mini boat or something in the...
No, he was totally a hovercraft.
Oh, well.
He's a different kind now. He's like a Trooplander hovercraft.
Oh, okay. That must be what's confusing me. But yeah.
No, I mean, if you look at the original toy, you can see around the edges he has the rounded sides, which are to represent the air cushion skirt.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the new Sea Spray is a lot more like a military troop lander.
Yeah. Looks like something out of Street Fighter from Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh boy. I think the less we talk about that, the better.
Well, it kind of does. It's like one of those types, but yeah. Do we have anything else we would like to bring up?
Well, actually, if you don't mind, in addition to working at Radio Free Cybertron, I also run my own website. It's actually a co-editor thing with my friend RAC, who contributes sometimes more than I do. The site's called It Figures. It's a general toy review site. And we are actually coming up on our 5th anniversary on March 1st.
Oh, cool. Well, happy anniversary. I actually have a question for you about that, because there's also, I know that's your website name, but there's also a podcast name, It Figures, that is completely separate, I think, isn't there?
If so, it's the first time I've heard about it.
Yeah, there's a podcast on the, I found it when I watched That New Toy Smell on YouTube. The Pop Culture Network has one called It Figures as well. So I don't know who came.
Well, I may have to call the lawyers.
At least you can afford lawyers.
No, I can't. Well, yeah, we've been doing It Figures for 5 years now. We actually started out doing a lot of Gundam figure coverage, and just as we kind of lost a little interest in that as time went on, we branched out more into other lines. We do a lot of Transformers too. Recently, we've been covering figures from the G.I. Joe movie line too. But for the 5th anniversary, we're actually going back to how we started, and we're picking up a little coverage on the Gundams again. I mentioned earlier about buying some of the newer Robot Damashi figures, which is for the 5th anniversary event.
Oh, cool.
So that'll be running starting the first week in March. And you can check us out at It Figures. It's at Figure Reviews, one word, figurereviews.com. Cool. And we also have a Twitter feed where we cross-post our updates, which is at It Figures Update.
Oh, that's cool. Yes, RFC is also running a contest, which I absolutely want to win, damn it. And I need to mention this. Having you on this show does not disqualify me in any way or form, because I'm not, trying to garner any bonus points or brownie points or anything. But I want that RC, damn it.
Yeah, I want an RC too. I can't find one myself.
I went to Toys R Us.
I might go quit RFC just so I can enter the contest.
Oh, wow. But yeah, I went to Toys R Us a couple of weeks ago, and it was after the news had floated down that she was appearing in random cities, and I figured, well, I don't come out to my Toys R Us too often, seeing as how it's on the other side of the city. So right. I figured, all right, well, I'll go out and I'll see. They had everything except RC. They had Voyagers, TFA Voyagers out the butt of Megatron, Shockwave, Optimus. They had deluxes, every single deluxe that has been released in the entire animated line. They did not have one RC.
How far a drive is your Toys R Us from you?
It's probably about 15-20 minutes.
See, my closest Toys R Us is a 45-minute drive.
Oh.
And the last time I went there, which was just recently, they had a few Voyagers. I remember noticing a Wreck-Gar in particular. But for the deluxes, they had a Cybertronian mode Optimus Prime, electrostatic Soundwave, and an Oil Slick. Nothing else.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that, because I was in, I got a whole bunch of Beast Wars Robot Heroes the other day at Big Lots.
Yeah.
And It always amazes me where some animated toys show up and which ones show up at weird store. I saw 2 oil slicks and a regular Soundwave in my Big Lots. When I went to when I went to Walgreens, there was like 4 Bumblebees and 2 regular Soundwaves.
Weird.
Yes. Yeah, the one thing that, even though I love Big Bad Toy Store, the one problem I have with them is the only RC they have up for pre-order is the Japanese version.
Right. And I'm guessing you're not really interested in the shiny paint either.
The only one that I am interested in because I refuse to buy the American version is Bumblebee. I hate the American version of Bumblebee. The only Bumblebee mold I have right now is the Elite Guard one because it's 10 times cooler than the original. So the shiny paint on the Japanese Bumblebee, I would definitely want that one.
I guess you can always call it G2 animated Bumblebee.
Or Goldbug.
Well, see, now, I always thought that Elite Guard Bumblebee had more of a Goldbug thing going on.
If you look at the picture on BBTS, it looks like it's almost gold. It doesn't look like metallic yellow to me. But that's just me.
I'll have to check that out later on.
Yes, as we speak, I just typed in RC's name into the Toys R Us website, and damn, the only thing that comes up is that friggin' Human Alliance crap.
Well, that's too bad.
Well, I typed it in the other day, and it showed up, but it showed up with a description for Electrostatic Soundwave, and it said it was out of stock.
Oops.
Yeah, some of those people at Toys R Us don't know what they're doing sometimes.
Well, it's hard when you have to keep up with that many different toys.
That's true.
Nobody's being paid enough to keep up with all that. The only people who can keep up with that are the people who are not being paid at all to do it, which is the fans.
Yes, and that's one of my biggest complaints about the Toys R Us website. On every item that I've looked at, regardless of what kind of toy it is, it says, "Oh, we cannot match this to what's in store. You're going to have to check your local store if you want to find it."
Right.
That makes every other website I know of that has an online version and an actual like Walmart or Target, whatever. They always have, hey, see if you can find this in the actual store nearest you.
Yeah.
Oh God, Toys R Us, you piss me off so much. I would never work there. Never. Never. They would have to pay me $1 million a month. I would never work there. Oh, God. Okay, well, I think we're going to end this train wreck.
It's not that bad, is it?
Well, no, but it's kind of getting off that, the actual topic. It's starting to go into rants on my end anyway.
You'll have to pardon me. I'm kind of used to just going with the flow of it.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you for joining us here on ToyCast. There are several ways to get in contact with us to leave feedback for the show. The first is you can visit www.geekcastradio.com. Find all the other podcasts there. The second is you can stop by our forums, PredicaunEmpire.com/Nexus. You can leave us feedback in iTunes. Please do this. We now have a voicemail line. Call us and leave us your thoughts on each episode. Be sure to say which show you're leaving the message for and your name. The number is 502-526-5821. We have Twitter. The show name there is TF ToyCast. Mine is TFG1Mike. And what is your Twitter, sir?
XV Braun.
Okay.
EXVEE Braun.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of ToyCast. Wish you'll join us next time. Be sure to visit our sponsors, BigBadToyStore.com, for all your Transformers toy needs and more.
And check out Radio Free Cybertron and also my podcast Superhero Time for Power Rangers, Masked Rider, and all kinds of foam rubber suit monster needs. And please check out It Figures at FigureReviews.com. Our 5th anniversary is coming up. Don't miss that.
Very cool. For now, I am TFG1Mike with
XV Braun.
saying any more words of Optimus Prime, transform and roll out, and thank you for listening. Until next time.
See you later.
You're listening to the GeekCast Radio Network of podcasts.
meet